I should have known there was no going back, not after everything that had already happened. The night I stumbled upon my girlfriend with another man, Daniel, in our bedroom, something inside me fractured, only to reassemble into something darker and more unrecognizable. It wasn't just the betrayal that haunted me, it was the way her body responded to him, the sounds she made that I thought were mine alone. That image had seared itself into my mind, a mix of jealousy, pain, and a twisted kind of longing. And now, here I was again, standing in front of the apartment we shared, the door left ajar. The air around me was quiet, except for the faint murmur of voices coming from inside, punctuated by my girlfriend's soft, breathy laugh. It was a laugh I used to think was mine, a private moment only I could draw out of her. Hearing her share it with someone else, again, set something inside me on fire. But it wasn't anger. It was needed. I pushed the door open slowly, my pulse racing as I stepped inside. The dim lighting of the apartment greeted me, the glow of flickering candles casting long shadows on the walls. The scent of jasmine lingered in the air, mixed with the faint smell of wine. I froze as my eyes adjusted to the scene before me. My girlfriend sat on the couch, her body draped lazily across Daniel's lap. She was laughing, her head thrown back as he whispered something into her ear. His hand rested on her thigh, his thumb tracing slow circles over the bare skin where her dress had ridden up. The intimacy between them was undeniable, yet it wasn't just the betrayal that struck me. It was the way she looked at him. It was hunger, curiosity, and a kind of freedom I hadn't seen in her before. Neither of them had noticed me yet, too absorbed in each other. My heart pounded as I stood there, a voyeur to their forbidden connection. For a moment, I considered leaving, walking away before they realized I was there. But I couldn't. Something about the way her body moved against his, the sound of her laughter mixing with his low murmurs, rooted me to the spot. The floor creaked under my weight as I stepped forward, and their heads turned in unison. My girlfriend's eyes widened as she saw me, surprise flashing across her face, but not fear. Her lips parted as if to speak, but no words came. Daniel, on the other hand, looked utterly unshaken. He leaned back slightly, his hand still on my girlfriend's thigh, a slow, knowing smile spreading across his face. "Hey," my girlfriend whispered, her voice laced with uncertainty, though her body remained pressed against Daniel's. I swallowed hard, my throat dry as I took another step forward. My emotions swirled, anger, jealousy, and the same dark desire that had driven me here. "I couldn't stay away," I said, the words coming out rough, almost unsteady. Daniel's smirk widened, his hand sliding higher up my girlfriend's thigh. "Good," he said, his tone smooth and inviting. "We were just getting started." My girlfriend looked at me then, her eyes searching mine, as if she were waiting for me to stop this or to join it. There was hesitation in her gaze, but also a flicker of something else, something daring. I stepped closer, closing the distance between us until I was standing right in front of them. "Is this what you want?" I asked, my voice low, my gaze locked on hers. Her breath hitched, her body stiffening slightly. Then she nodded, her voice barely a whisper. "Yes." Her admission sent a jolt through me. Slowly, I reached out, my hand brushing against her arm. Her skin was warm, soft under my touch, and I felt her shiver as I moved closer. I leaned in, my lips brushing against her ear as I murmured, "Then show me." The tension in the room shifted, thickening into something palpable. My girlfriend turned toward me, her hand sliding up to rest on my chest as she kissed me. Her lips were soft, hesitant at first, as if testing my resolve. But as I responded, pulling her closer, the kiss deepened. Behind her, Daniel didn't move away. Instead, his hands stayed on her waist, his presence a constant reminder of what was happening. My girlfriend broke the kiss with me, turning her head to look at him. He met her gaze with a smirk before leaning in, his lips brushing hers. I watched as they kissed, my pulse quickening, my breath shallow. It was surreal seeing her with him, yet instead of pulling me away, it drew me closer. My hand slid to her back, caressing the bare skin where her dress dipped low. Daniel pulled away, his eyes meeting mine. "She's incredible, isn't she?" he said, his voice a low murmur. "She is," I admitted, my voice rough as my gaze fell to my girlfriend. Daniel stood, guiding my girlfriend to her feet before sliding her dress off her shoulders. The fabric pooled at her feet, leaving her standing in just her lace lingerie. My breath caught as I took her in, her body lit by the flickering candlelight. She turned to me, her eyes filled with vulnerability and desire. Slowly, she reached for my shirt, her fingers trembling slightly as she unbuttoned it. I let her undress me, my heart pounding as her hands moved over my skin. Daniel stepped behind her, his hands trailing down her arms, his lips brushing her neck. My girlfriend leaned into his touch, her eyes still locked on mine as I reached for her, my hands sliding over her hips. The three of us moved together, our bodies pressing close, our breaths mingling. Daniel's hands found the clasp of her bra, and with a flick, it fell away. My girlfriend gasped softly as his lips moved down her shoulder, his hands exploring her bare skin. I leaned in, kissing her deeply as Daniel's hands slid lower, guiding her onto the couch. The night blurred into a haze of sensations, kisses, touches, the sound of my girlfriend's moans filling the room. She moved between us, her body responding to every touch, every kiss. I watched as Daniel claimed her, his movements deliberate and confident, his hands firm on her hips. My girlfriend's head fell back, her lips parting as she cried out. But she wasn't just his, she was mine too, her hands reaching for me, pulling me closer even as her body arched beneath Daniel's touch. The hours passed in a tangle of limbs and whispers, each moment more intense than the last. The lines between us blurred, our bodies moving together in perfect sync. Every sound, every touch, every glance was amplified, filling the room with a raw electric energy. By the time dawn began to creep through the curtains, we lay together on the couch, our bodies entwined, the air thick with the scent of passion. My girlfriend rested her head on my chest, her fingers tracing lazy patterns on my skin. Daniel lay beside her, his hand draped over her waist, his breathing steady. We had crossed a line that night, one we could never uncross, but as I held my girlfriend close, her warmth against me, I realized I didn't want to. This was where we belonged now, a place where boundaries no longer existed, where love and lust intertwined into something neither of us had ever imagined.